Welcome, everybody, to the Spawn on Me podcast. This is episode 187 of our show. I am your host, Kahlief Adams, and I'm joined this week and every week, my man, my mellow, the smooth kind of fellow, the man who is the #1 draft pick in the NFL. He has finished the combine. He is through to the next round. He is not the long shot. It is Cicero Holmes. How are you doing, sir?
187 on a Mickey Ficky birthday. On another year.
What the hell is on a Mickey Ficky birthday? What the hell is on a Mickey Ficky birthday?
Hey, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
I just started out with, it's 187. It's episode 187. I am the first draft pick of Chicago, as it were. Not a long shot. I am the guaranteed take it to the bank Hall of Famer. Give me the gold jacket.
Did you skip sports? Did you just go from like the NFL? Oh no, well the gold jacket is the NFL one. I'm thinking about the Masters one with the green.
Masters is the green jacket,
which is terrible.
Yes, it's the green jacket.
Ugly. Yeah. Ugly. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us tonight on Twitch and in the podcast world. We are also rocking with the Duchess of Diversity from I Need Diverse Games. I see you eye rolling when I say the Duchess of Diversity. Tanya the Pass, how are you doing?
I'm good, Sir Kahlief, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you much. How are you doing? How's everything going?
Good, getting ready for PAX and kind of having that pre-convention stress. Oh my God, am I ready to go?
I think that's the thing though, right? It's like anytime a con is ready to go, everyone is like trying to figure out what's the last thing you need to put in your bag. Did you forget the last piece of material that you need? Did you bring all the swag that you need to give out to folks? All that stuff. But you know, every time you roll through the conventions, everyone loves you and you knock it out the park anyway. So I'm not worried.
I try. Well, you know what's funny? I actually still get nervous.
Do you what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You still get nervous. How's this? What does he mean? What do you mean?
I still get nervous doing public speaking because, you know, you could do 100 panels in a year, but you still, you know, anything can go wrong. Technical things can happen.
Sure.
Travel could happen. And it's like you never know how the crowd's going to be. It's no guarantee how it's going to turn out.
Word. It is one of those things that you don't know. Every wild card is going to get thrown onto the table. Like today, we had a wild card with technical difficulties. So we're sorry we're a little bit late. But we do have to thank everybody who watched the show last week. We had a phenomenal show with Austin Walker from Waypoint. Again, anytime Austin comes through to the show, we have a blast. He drops knowledge. He wants to share all the dope stuff with us and with all of you. So it's always great to have him. And we did some really fantastic numbers, both just in the podcasting space and on Twitch. We like doubled our viewership and followership on our road to 1,000.
Lots of ships.
Mad ships, son. Mad ships. Yes. So we did like the Austin bump was real, if you want to say that's what we want to call it. But yeah, we have a good show this week. We have a lot of cool stuff we want to talk about. We're going to jump right into it. And also want to give a big shout out before we do to our brother Reef, who has been kicking ass this week, but couldn't make it. So we hopefully will have him on back with us next week. So if you came on just for Reef, you might as well just shut down the show now because he's not here and he's not coming here to hang out with us tonight because he doesn't like us anymore. That's the realness of it. That's the real thing.
Aww.
So that's what it is. Everybody let us know exactly what you think about that in the chat and also on Twitter. Shame him. No, I'm just playing. Don't do that.
Wow, you just let it all hang out on the birthday. You're just like, I'm just gonna say whatever I want.
Yeah.
Today is my birthday. I am excited at the fact that I am still alive past the year of 25. I've made my knock 39th birthday. So I'm extremely happy about that. And I'm feeling good. Like I'm with my peoples, with folks I love, with folks that I really care about, getting to talk about stuff that I really dig. And, you know, I'm happy right now. I'm in a good space. I'm feeling good. Work. Shake my shoulders and my neck.
You made Shareef give a sad emote in the chat.
Oh.
If you can't be on the show, you can't be in the chat. Get out the chat.
Wow.
Get out the chat. Get out the chat. You can't be in the chat. None of that chat.
Oh wow. This is getting chat shunned.
Chat.
This is
Right? Chat shamed early.
Shame.
Show's been on 5 minutes.
right.
Shame.
Right. Shame.
Shame.
Who's got the bell?
Who got the bell? Oh my god.
Shame.
Shame.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the world of gaming in the past couple of weeks. Gamescom has arrived and is
Yes.
I think, is it still going on as the time of us
I think
recording
so.
this? It's still going on in Germany.
It's Germany, so who knows?
Germany don't stop, can't stop. It's the,
Right,
it's
can't
the
stop,
Diddy
right.
of countries.
Yeah.
It's like it does what it wants.
Last train to Cologne.
Word, last train to Cologne. It's going to be one of those things that, when people talk about conferences, the kinds of mega ones that we think of always are E3, PAX, and I think in third place, I think honestly, is Gamescom for the folks on the North American side of the world, but on the European side of the world, on the other side of the pond for us, that is like the major con for everyone to go to. It's where everyone kind of winds up. And they drop a lot of really cool knowledge and cool stuff that happens during those times. One of the really cool things that we have been talking about on the show, and one of the things that we're super excited about, is Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Origins. What the hell are you sipping on right now?
Don't sweat what I do over here, man. I got
this
you're talking about you're talking about some European gaming cons, so I decided to get some European beverages. This is some champagne from the Champagne region of France.
That Negro,
I wanted to celebrate your birthday, bruh.
Negro, that's barefoot in a glass. You shut your face.
Hey.
I don't want to hear.
Wow.
Got that Scotto.
Scott.
Wow. Why you got to bust some Moscato though?
Moscato was good, but I feel like Moscato is the like I want to get slizzard wine of choice. Is like
okay.
like because the sugar content in Scotto.
Oh wow, yes,
is so
Kool-Aid.
high.
It's Kool-Aid.
That it's like you could put that joint in the back of a spoon and be like,
okay, I'm gonna remember that next week.
Oh,
right. I see you.
Yo, when I see you,
wow. Okay.
If you Scottoed out, I'm gonna laugh at you because I'm gonna be like, yo, Tanya Scottoed out. She got the Scotto dance.
Tanya.
I'm gonna find you.
It's gonna be the Scotto dance like this.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so good.
I'm gonna find you.
I love you.
Tanya's got her Renaissance. She's got her Ren Fair mug right now. It's got Scotto in it, but it's
actually got coffee.
Irish Scotto coffee.
If it was Irish coffee, it'd be a short string.
Right. This is champagne, but I decided that I was going to put some cranberry juice in there. That was a mistake. So
that was a mistake.
That was a bad life decision, wasn't it?
That was. Anyway, we're gonna go back to
Pinky in the air for a CSJR on the stream. There you go, Pinky in the air.
True indeed. I railroaded that by looking at your Scotto. So that's my fault. But back to Assassin's Creed Origins is one of those games that, again, we've been talking about for a very long time, trying to figure out, what's it going to be, how's it going to play, and, are folks going to really dig it? Because, we're super excited that there's a black protagonist in the game, and we're excited that that's going to be the main person that you're going to be playing throughout most of the game. Did anyone get a chance to kind of check out some of the coverage from Gamescom of Assassin's Creed Origin, and what did you think about what you saw? I'll go to Tanya first. Dude,
I was like that gif of Fry with like, take my money.
Yeah.
So I see Paris is in the chat. He's probably gonna laugh at me, but I was like legit trying to find like the God edition or whatever like the $120 edition is, where you get the statue and all the other stuff.
Oh right.
I was just like, I'm really considering spending this kind of money on a copy of this game, but the gameplay looks amazing. the fact that they, have been doing the work, they did the historical work that Ubisoft always does, and they got someone Egyptian to be in charge of the game.
Right.
They're actually doing the work. And, for what I do, that's important. Mm-hmm. They're actually doing the work. And I'm just like, I'm actually considering getting it on my Xbox One instead of the PS4. Because all the footage we've seen is for the Xbox.
Right.
I mean, it's Xbox One X, which I don't have a 4K TV, but it looks really good.
You can come over to my house and play the Xbox One X with Assassin's Creed Origin because I've got mine pre-ordered.
Oh, that's right. You did get your pre-order in. That's right.
I got my pre-order in.
Interesting.
For the One X?
For the One X or the Xbox One Infinite.
We do not.
Which is the better name?
We do not recognize that name in this show or in this chat. That show was not recognized.
I'm debating getting the Xbox One X, but since I don't have a 4K TV, I don't know if it's worth it at this point.
Right.
Well, so I'm going to play the role of Phil Spencer and say that it will make your games, all of your games, look better, even if you don't have a 4K TV.
Right.
So if you think that at some point in the next year or so that you will be getting a new TV, it's going to be a 4K one. So you might as well, if you're thinking about getting a 1X, go ahead and get the X1X now and get the 4K TV later. You will see a difference in your games. The games will load faster, and they will play a little bit better. And then they'll be, hopefully dramatically different once you get a 4K television as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need that 4K money to start flowing into this household.
I mean, so the TVs are coming down. Like if you can afford to buy a television today, then, whatever your budget is for a TV, that's going to be your budget for 4K TVs come January. By African American Friday, the TVs that will be available this year will be 4K televisions. So,
yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Is like if anyone wants to share some birthday tips with me for a 4K TV, I will take them. I will not say that I will not. But it is that kind of thing where it's like these are going to be the tentpole games for not only the new system that is going to be coming out, but also for 4K displays that are going to be coming out too. Like everyone's going to kind of be looking towards and looking for the game that is going to be the one showcase piece that is going to show off your new television to the people that you have come over, right? So it's like those things are going to be in tandem. I do wish and wonder if there's going to be some work in that space that's going to be done with Microsoft or even PlayStation and Sony with some other hardware companies like televisions and monitors and stuff like that. Are they going to do some bundles with Xbox One Infinites or X's, as they say? Like, are those going to be things that we'll see kind of pop themselves up? C, did you get a chance to check out any of the footage from the game, and what were your thoughts about it?
So, so my first thought is, bravo to Ubisoft, because Assassin's Creed took a year off. It took a year off on video games, but there was Assassin's Creed media available in that better than awful feature length film. So man. It was better than awful. So I will say that. But I think we had hit a level of apathy when it came to the Assassin's Creed series. I think people still thought that the games were good, but they just kept retreading lots of the same mechanics. It was still much of the same in different settings, and they had reached a point where they had, gone beyond saturation and reached apathy. And I thought, a year off would be good, but I was dubious as to whether or not a year off was going to be enough to get people excited for Assassin's Creed. And everything that they've shown for Origins has just looked absolutely phenomenal. Right. Just unbelievable. So, I'm going to be, breakdancing on the street with some cardboard to get all of the games that I want to play this holiday season. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough because these AAA titles that are coming out, all of them look like not misses. And even some that weren't on the radar, you're starting to see now, and you're like, whoa, that looks like something too that I want to check out. So, and it's, really, honestly, it's already started with as Absolver and out of the Mario Rabbids game that Reef is playing on the Switch. Like, there are a lot of games. Obviously, Madden is here now, and so many games coming. Uncharted Dark, Longest Legacy. The Legacy is broken. Uncharted, I didn't play with that character in Uncharted 2 with Nadine. Legacy, somebody's Legacy.
Nadine's in 4.
Yeah. Right. I've only played 4.
Okay.
So I know Nadine, and everybody was geeking out about Chloe, but I don't know who Chloe is. I don't know her.
How do you not know who Chloe is?
There's a thing called a wiki, Cicero.
Wikis. I'm not looking at the wiki. I don't have experience with Chloe. Chloe doesn't mean anything to me.
I am side-eyeing the shit out of you right now.
You do that. You do that. I'm okay with who I am.
You deserve this side eye I'm getting that you can't see.
I can see.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is like, if you haven't caught up with that stuff, and you are now jumping into Lost Legacy, which I played a little bit of it last night, and we can talk about that after this if we want to. Even if you didn't have that connection to those characters, it's like, here are new people that you can, attach yourself to that is in this uncharted universe. So like, that's there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, I don't want to kind of derail the conversation about AC Origins to talk about Uncharted. But Uncharted is literally, it is another game that is out there. Pyre, Lawbreakers. There's so many games to play. It is going to be very, very difficult to pick and choose what games get your money, and then pick and choose which games get your time. On top of that. Basically since August began.
Right.
AC Origins, what Ubisoft is showing is making a case for why AC Origins should not only get your time, or should not only get your money, but also get your time. So, and they've been making a great case. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, AC Origins is going to be one of those games that I think after it comes out, people will kind of go back to it and kind of, besides looking at it in the perspective of all the games that they have in that series, kind of look at where it stands in terms of the rest of the games that we have coming out 2017, 2018, and say, where's that stacking up? And the way things are looking, that game might not even be in people's top 10. With the kind of craziness that we've had game wise as far as quality and quantity, that's nuts that big AAA title will probably not even reach people's top 10 lists this year, unless it does something really phenomenal, either graphically or story wise that we didn't see coming. But Assassin's Creed games don't really do that.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I think that's the thing that's been really unique about this game has been the fact that it has made you stand up and take notice. Like the game just goes out there and it does what it does, and you're like, holy shit, this is that same universe, but this is different. This is something I want to play. This is something I have to play. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say that AC Origins may shock people. It may be a game that really, I don't want to say revitalizes the series, because I don't want them to to run it into the ground in the same way that they had done before. Right. But I think this is going to be a game that really takes people by surprise. And so far the showing has been extremely strong, but I think it's going to take people by surprise once they get it in their hands and they're able to play it. And if it gets that Pro boost and the X1X boost, and it's impressive, then it becomes one of those showpiece games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be real fun to see kind of where all that plays itself out. I'll just add really quickly. It was, again, really nice to see Origins kind of get the love that it I feel like it's going to deserve. It's nice to see Ubisoft again kind of poke through in this space again and kind of revitalize and kind of revamp Assassin's Creed, when I personally was kind of just out of the loop. At a certain point, I was like, I'm kind of done with the series. I'm kind of done with hanging out with all these people who are now dead, but also in the Animus, but also not dead, but also kind of in the Animus.
Right.
So it's like, me wanting to be kind of out of that space. This has kind of been nice to bring itself back in. And to kind of see where that world is going to wind up leading to. So that's super dope. I'm happy about it, and I'm happy that it's there. I want to know what people are going to kind of attach themselves to. I do wonder if they're going to get the historical parts right, which they usually kind of get. I mean, they get mostly they get most of that stuff pretty well done, but it was also, I got a little bit worried when I saw that CG trailer that they dropped at Gamescom. I was like, everybody mad light-skinned it, which is fine. But it's like, I was worried because I was like, you're not really showing the main character right now as much as I thought you would. And that seems a little bit weird, but they're building the world again and doing some world building, which was nice. And I don't think that they should do any more CG trailers, though. They need to stop doing that stuff because it does their game a disservice. Don't do that, folks. No more CG trailers. I think we're done with CG trailers at this point. Because next you'll have like Paris just showing up in a CG tank top in every video.
You mean he doesn't already?
I mean, I'm saying.
Yo, I was just looking at a picture of Paris on Twitter, because that's what I do apparently. I don't know. But yo, your arms are too big, son. Your arms. I know you can hear me right now. Your arms are too big. They too big. You're doing too much.
You're
doing too much.
I think it's at the point now. See, now it's at the point now, and we love you, Paris. You know you do. We know that we do. But it's at the point now that anybody who stands next to you in a picture looks like you're about to eat them, and that's not dope. Because it looks like your muscle. You'd be like this. You like pull out a muscle, and then it has like a little mouth on it, and little mouth be like, "Yo, I'm gonna chew you up and spit you out."
Yo, son, he's got his own emote.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh, you're doing the most.
Twitter. I mean, not Twitter. Twitch. When you are partnered, that is what you get to rock your own emotes. Shout out to them and go watch their channel. We have their channel.
Yes,
in our break. You'll see that in our break when we roll that.
Definitely. May I? Yeah. So as we move on, I want to derail these things for a second. As we're talking about Gamescom, I want to talk about something that's big from Gamescom. So two things that happened. The first is that we kind of talked about the Xbox One X finally went on pre-order and predictably, of course, sold out within moments of the pre-order being announced. But kind of lost in that shuffle was the fact that Crackdown 3, the game that I said that I said was in trouble, the game that everybody said was in trouble, has been moved back out of the holiday window and pushed into 2018 because it was, quote, not ready yet, end quote. And
I can't be too mad at that, though.
Right. Well, so I can't be mad at it either, because obviously you want the game to be as good as it possibly can be. Let the game cook until it's ready. But they spent a lot of time, in marketing wise, they spent a lot of time, Microsoft did, pairing the One X to Crackdown 3 as, it was supposed to launch with the console. So, that was going to be the thing that was the showcase to show why the One X was the the beast of a machine that everybody needs to have. So now they're going to release this console with no software that is naturally paired with it.
Right.
So what do you guys think of the fact that this is happening? Do you think that this was a marketing mistake by them, one from which they can't recover, or do you just think that it's going to be a footnote that no one's going to care about in 4 or 5 months after the release?
I think it'll be a footnote.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thing is, I don't know if people were really clamoring for Crackdown 3 in the way that, I don't feel like the nostalgia bug for Crackdown was as strong as a brand as people thought that it might have been. And I think that may be the actual issue, is that I think people really want Crackdown, but they wanted something really different from Crackdown, and what they saw was very much the same stuff that we had seen from before. And I think that is the bigger issue with the way that game is kind of getting pushed, is that, I saw it at E3 and I was like, all right, this looks good and I'm excited for it, but I'm not seeing the thing that you initially told me about that made me actually really excited, which was the destructive environments,
right,
and the kind of scale that you'll be able to traverse the city with. I think that, plus I feel like Agents of Mayhem might have stolen some of its thunder too. In the mind share right now of Agents of Mayhem kind of having a lot of those things. Shout out to Quantum Dot, who kind of shares that same sentiment in the chat. It's that kind of thing where I don't know what Microsoft is going to put in place of that, because when it comes out, are people going to actually care? I guess, Tanya, you've been playing a lot of Agents of Mayhem as well, and I know that you've seen some of the Crackdown stuff. Do you feel like that sentiment might be kind of on point about that game kind of taking Crackdown's thunder a little bit?
Oh, totally. Because I had people coming in the chat when I was streaming it, kind of, giving it a hard time, going, "Oh, Crackdown looks great." So if Mayhem is delivering now what people wanted out of Crackdown, come next year, nobody's going to care about Crackdown.
Right.
Or that nostalgia factor has to be real strong. Like for me, it's like I could take it or leave it. But I'm not the kind of person who's going to buy a system based on one game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was Destiny 2, all these games in 4K, like Assassin's Creed, something that's going to make me spend that money to upgrade my system when I'm more on the Sony side anyway.
Right.
There has to be some really amazing things, and I don't think Crackdown's going to be the game that's going to sell systems regardless, even if it was ready with the Xbox.
Right.
Whenever the Xbox One X comes out.
Right.
I don't think it's a system seller.
Right. I do want. Go ahead, C.
Oh no, I was going to say that I think you're right. Just in general, Tanya, I thought it was a weak pairing to begin with, but as a fan of the series, or at least a fan of the first one kind of came out of nowhere. It was, if people remember, the reason that Crackdown sold as well as it did was because it came paired with the Halo 2 multiplayer beta. So everyone bought that game so that they could play Halo 2. And then they stayed because they realized the game was awesome. It was, it's just so much fun to go out and collect the orbs and, throw cars and just basically be a superhero cop. And Crackdown 2 came around and it was supposed to be more of the same, but it wasn't as good. And so this was their chance to kind of redeem themselves with this game. But it was never a game that would reach across all sorts of genres and all sorts of demographics as a game that everybody needs to have, along with a system that everybody needs to have. So it definitely was a weak pairing, but at least for people that were fans of Microsoft and fans of Xbox, I think that Crackdown was a game that people were those particular people were somewhat excited for. Yeah. It's good that they moved it back. It definitely wasn't looking good. I don't know if there's something necessarily tangible that I could say that I'd want from it to be, except for better.
Right. Yeah. Right. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
So, but I just I'm kind of disappointed with the way that Microsoft has handled the One X. This is their last opportunity at Gamescom to really kind of sell people on why they need that console, especially now that there isn't going to be a AAA title that, a first party title that releases day and date with the console. They really needed to double down and explain to people why they needed to plunk down $500 on November 7th. And they didn't do a really good job of doing that.
Interesting thing that they did do during Gamescom was talk about the enhanced versions of games that you will be getting whenever you do have your Xbox One X. I don't know if that is going to be the selling point for a lot of people who are going to be getting their console. Like, hey, the game that I might have already played is going to look better, so maybe I'll go back and look at it. I do think it'll be interesting to see the games that are new now, that are going to be coming out, that is going to be shared in that space. So like NBA 2K18 that's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah.
That's going to be a game that I'm going to be like, all right, how does this look on an Xbox One X that has this extra power, that has all this graphical power behind it? Does it look better than, the PS4 Pro version? Again, I don't have a TV that will truly show any of that stuff off really, but it should get a bump even in its kind of natural state on a 1080p television. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see how that stuff looks, how Madden looks, how all those things, how the new WWE game looks, which looks really, really cool. And graphically, they did a lot of stuff with the engine on that stuff. I guess, Tanya, a question I have for you is, even though, it's coming down the line, if money was not an object, do you think you'd still be as excited to maybe cop a Xbox One X at this point?
Honestly, I'd have to say no. Because, shout out to Javier, our friend.
Javi.
Yeah, we miss you, Javi.
Yeah.
He got me that Xbox, and I'm not gonna lie, it collects dust a lot of times.
Yeah.
But for me, I've actually been getting more of it as a backward compatible device because my Xbox 360 is kind of on its last legs.
Right.
But I can go back and play those games. I can stream them now. I can get a lot more use out of it that way because, like the reason I never jumped up and got an Xbox One to begin with is because they sold it as like a media management device, not a game device. So that killed any appeal to me. It's like, I already have Netflix, I already got an Apple TV. That has zero appeal to me to be my all-in-one device. To me, Xbox is a brand associated with gaming. Right. I don't need it to run my TV, run the cable. Give me something to play games. And that's not what they marketed it as. So if I didn't already have one, I'd probably be more hyped to go run out and buy one if money was no object. But for right now, the Xbox One I got is still kind of collecting dust. Maybe when I can get a 4K TV, I'll upgrade, but it's not high on the list.
Right.
I'll get a PS4 Pro before I get an Xbox One.
Well,
okay. All right.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Tanya, about the media, the all-in-one media device, and it not being marketed as a game machine. I agree that they didn't do that. It was a selling point for me as opposed to a detracting point for me, because I already knew that it was going to play games, right? I already knew that. So I didn't need for them to talk to me about how it was going to play games when they were announcing the original console. I just, all the other stuff was like, oh man. So now all I need to do is have one device. I don't need an Apple TV. I don't need a Chromecast. I don't need a smart TV. I don't need any of those other things. I just need this one box. It plays my games and I leave that box on and it does all the other stuff I want to do. If I want to watch Netflix or Hulu or any of the other smart device stuff that I need to do, I can just keep that box on. I don't have to switch to another output, another input on my TV. I'm done. One input, I'm done. And to be quite honest, that's exactly how I use my Xbox. It turns on with my TV. and it turns off with my TV, and everything else that I do on my television is via the Xbox.
Right.
So, which is, and it really is a matter of preference. And Microsoft sold that. They sold the same message to me that sold me on the console that didn't sell you on the console. So, yeah. which is really interesting.
Yeah, totally. Moving on, one other game that we have talked about it last week with Austin Walker, and we're still again super excited for it, is Far Cry 5. Right. Far Cry 5, Cicero has named it inside of his brain, and I'm not going to say it out loud, but yes, I am. No, I'm just playing. It's like the white supremacist killer simulator. Right. But it's like, we know what that game is trying to do. We know where that game is hopefully going. Again, Tanya wasn't on the show with us last week, but I kind of want to dig into some of your thoughts, Tanya, about, what do you think about the game currently in the way that it's situated? And I'm not sure if you had got a chance to listen to all of the parts of the show last week, but, we talked about, do you think that this game is going to get to a place where it's going to talk about the politics that it's kind of trying to hint at, and if it's going to do it in a good way. So what are your thoughts about kind of what Far Cry 5 is bringing to the table, and what do you think it's going to be able to do?
Well, I did actually listen to the whole episode because it's Austin, and y'all are hilarious. And I just enjoyed Austin because talking with Austin is frightening because he's so fucking smart. Yeah. But with Far Cry, I want to give Ubi the benefit of the doubt because they did good things. They turned around Watch Dogs, what it looks like they're doing with AC.
Right.
And depending on where they go with the plot, they kind of have to touch on those things. Because you can't make a cult in Montana in this doomsday kind of ideology. You can't put that in there and then go, well, they're just the bad guys.
Right.
You can't. Because games are never apolitical.
Right.
And, they have chosen to have this very controversial thing. This is the core of your nemesis in the game. And considering what's going on in the U.S. right now, there's no way to divorce that. You have to address it. As to whether they'll do it, I think they'll do it, but it may not be to the depth a lot of people want or expect.
Right.
Because you've basically put the Branch Davidians as your enemies in this game. For those that are old enough to remember the Branch Davidians.
Right, yeah, wow.
Right.
So you're dealing with this wacko cult, and they're holding this town hostage. And are you going to chalk it up to religion or mental illness? What ways are you gonna put this together, and make the player have to kind of think about this? Are there going to be hard choices? Is it going to be, I save this person, but my morals kind of go against it because of how they treat people, and and the protagonist is not voiced. There's not really, because on the stream they did the other day, they talked about that. So why the protagonist isn't voiced and why there's not a lot of description, because they want the player to be able to mold that character into whatever you want it to be.
Right.
So I have hope. I don't. And I say this with the caveat, I know a lot of people who work at Ubisoft, and I've had a chance to go there and speak. So with that, caveat disclaimer in mind, I have hope. I can't know what they're going to pull off until we get the game in our hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to take your points on some of this too. Again, is, how do you feel right now, having seen some more footage of it? What do you think is going to be the thing that's going to kind of pull this kind of across the finish line in terms of, story and or narrative?
Well, I think that the first thing that people aren't giving Ubisoft credit for is the fact that they knew going in, when they decided that this was going to be the subject matter, that it was going to be at least somewhat polarizing, and that they were going into that, they were fully aware of that. When they made that decision. So I think that we will get to see the resonance of their decision in the game, in the narrative of the game. Now, what we won't see, and I think this is what people are going to going to be expecting is we won't see a commentary, because like I said last week, a lot of the things that are happening in the real world remind me of this game that's going to be coming out in a few months. They obviously had no way of knowing that these things were going to happen. Now, of course, you could kind of predict that some of these types of things would happen, but there would be no way for you to absolutely know this. And then because there's no way for you to absolutely know this, and because the story has been written for years, there's no way for them to correctly or to really be on point with timely observations for the current state of American politics and American cultural affairs.
Yeah. I think that you hit the nail on the head with that. And I think that combined with the one thing that I'm actually kind of worried about is you see in some games where, I think of The Last of Us that had some kind of cultural, political leanings in some ways and had a very interesting kind of story in that way that had gunplay in it, right? It's a game where you shoot a lot of stuff, besides the actual world trying to kill you. There are other humans who are trying to kill you, and there's a part of that is political within and of itself. I think in a game like this where you're like you said, an unvoiced first-person shooter kind of game, I don't know if the gunplay is going to take away from the ability for them to tell a really good story. And I wonder if that's going to be something that we see happen where you've detached yourself from the sentiments that they're trying to evoke because you've killed 7,000 people in your gameplay.
I think that was a problem that Watch Dogs 2 had. I don't think that that's going to be a problem that Far Cry is going to have.
Yeah, why not?
Because you as a character, it's not a revenge story, but it's an avenge story for Far Cry 5. You are trying to save your town. You are trying to make sure that these whack jobs don't take over by force your town. And I think that they have kidnapped, you are motivated because they have done something personal to you. Mm-hmm. So that as you're killing, there's no cognitive dissonance or narrative dissonance between you going out and feeling your feelings and then going out and becoming a mass murderer for justice. Whereas the other Ubisoft game that we're talking about, Watch Dogs 2, that was a problem that I had with that game, was that the main character, his name escapes me right this second, Marcus. Yeah. So the Marcus was a really fun-loving guy. He was a techno terrorist, but he was, when you watch the cutscenes and you kind of got a sense of who you were as Marcus. He wasn't a killer. He wasn't a violent guy. He knew parkour. He beat some people up with his yo-yo. But
this dude was doing walking the dog and then beating
he was walking the
it.
dog around the world. Right. And but then you pull out an M16, MP5, and you could indiscriminately mow people down because it's an open world game, and that just didn't make any sense. Now, in this game, in Far Cry 5, I think it does make sense. Not necessarily that you're mowing down other people, just normal civilians, but the enemies that are all around and in the outposts and all the things that you normally do in a Far Cry game makes perfect sense. And I don't think that you'll feel dirty doing it based on who you are as a character.
I'm kind of thinking back to go ahead Tanya, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, just thinking about what Cicero was saying, because with at least for me with Watch Dogs, you don't actually have to shoot people. You can, not a pacifist route, but you can use your whatever, your yo-yo, whatever the fuck it was. But but you're also kind of pushed to violence because I'm trying to sneak in and do my hacker shit, and suddenly there's armed guards with like Uzis, like 10 of you for like this one little black dude. So
right. I mean, just like real life.
Well, just like real life.
Exactly. But at some point, I'm trying to not kill people and be stealthy and go do my thing. But the game kind of forced my hand in some ways to be super violent.
Right.
Like there's some things where you're just like, well, guess I gotta shoot some people today because I'm trying to go in, steal a dude's mask back, get his files. I'm trying to be quiet because look, I'm a little scrawny black dude with a laptop. That's what I got, and a yo-yo
and mad parkour skills.
Yo, I can't front. I really want there to be some DLC where a voice line is like, "Yo, this fucking yo-yo ain't working no more. I gotta I gotta get the toast. I gotta go get some work and go murk some fools because this yo-yo is not. It was a cue ball attached to a string, which makes it even worse because it wasn't even a yo-yo, which would have been better.
Look, and if you ever got hit with a pool ball, you know how much that hurt.
Yo, that shit will fuck you up. If you get hit with a cue ball, shit is not cool. It's not dope.
But thinking about the Far Cry stuff is that you're coming in with your revenge / I'm trying to save people narrative built in.
Right.
It's not like Marcus where he's been framed and then we have a death to kind of give him the motivation to then be the angry black dude.
Right.
So, and just real quick, I want to touch on something Cicero said in the chat about the cult being multicultural. A cult is going to take who they can get. Yes, it's set in Montana, but there's rural black folks too.
Sure.
So I was just thinking about that because Leaf over at Mike wrote a piece about how Far Cry he thinks isn't going to go far enough because that is what he grew up with.
Interesting.
And
with black people in cults.
No, just rural Montana, the place, kind of place that the game's set in. He's like,
sure.
This is what they're showing. I don't think they've gone far enough with showing you how it can be.
Right.
So I was just thinking about that because a cult is going to take whoever they can indoctrinate. They're not going to worry about because then it works for them. It's like, look, we got some black folks too. We're going to try to. So I don't know. For me, it works because we know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Right.
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. Was it blacksfortrump.com? But I what I'm saying is, and I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, a little facetious, but what I'm saying is that the amount of representation that that's going to be bullet fodder for you is going to be disproportionate in terms of what you would see, even if even if what you're saying is correct, and I believe that what you're saying is correct, that the cults are going to take the people that are willing to drink the Kool-Aid. And even if there are people of color that will drink the Kool-Aid, there aren't going to be people of color in the numbers that you will see as in Far Cry 5. And the reason they do that is specifically so that they can make sure that it's, not just all white people.
Yeah. It's before we pivot, it is going to be, and I'm kind of glad you brought up those other examples because I'm thinking about Mafia 3 and those motivations for that character definitely didn't pull away from the political animus and the political story that they tried to tell, which is really great. The interesting thing that I think is going to happen in Far Cry is they're probably going to do any of the racial stuff that's going to be in that game in the cipher. I don't want to just call cipher because Cipher of Tear is here, but through the cipher of the black preacher who is in that game. And I want to see how they handle that. And if they handle that well, because of all the other folks who are in that story, again, we don't know if the protagonist, I can't remember if the protagonist is white or not. Because you see just mostly the gun throughout most of the gameplay. But I feel like if any of those conversations are going to happen during that game, it'll be through the eyes of that black preacher And if they do that well, then maybe it'll be okay. And maybe there'll be some other pinpoints that they can touch upon that will be really interesting and hopefully bring up some really cool conversation in our show and in the gaming community as a whole. One thing that did not bring up lots of fun conversation was the one about how large the new Final Fantasy 15 game is going to be on PC. This number, I'm going to say this out loud and I'm not going to cry. 170 gigabytes of space off your hard drive to download this game and play this game on your PC. If you wanted that joint to be on your SSD, you got no more stuff on your SSD. Unless you have a really large SSD as your main drive or your secondary drive. What in the hell are people thinking? Because first of all, okay, wait a minute. Like, forget the space cap, the space that you have to that's got games going to occupy on your hard drive. You have to download 170 gigabytes of data.
Yep.
Yo, Xfinity is like, you want to come over here with that? Come over here with that 170 gigabytes of stuff that's going to be downloaded on your freaking computer over your network. Oh my God. See, what do you think about this version of capturing your hard drive and holding it ransom?
Right. Well, I mean, something's got to give, right? Because this is only a harbinger for things to come. As we sat and we talked about, the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro and 4K games and these games that are going to be available and made with the ability to render 4K stuff on these consoles, and then all the stuff that's happening on the PC side. This is just, like I said, it's just a harbinger of things to come. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Either the cable providers, your ISPs, are going to raise the caps, and work with all of these different organizations to raise the caps. Because here's a hint, everybody. For those of you that are in IT, this also. These cap limits, they're mostly just arbitrary. They're mostly arbitrary. Now, obviously it costs some money, but it doesn't cost that money to make shit work. So, maybe this is going to be the thing that gets these companies to raise their caps, that will allow you to continue to download all of these games. Because, we're talking about all the games that are coming out over the holidays. These are another, it's another thing that's, you're going to be downloading terabytes worth of data over the next 3 or 4 months if you're buying 3 or 4 games a month. So, that's something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Tanya, what do you think about 170 gigabits? Gigabytes.
I ugly laughed when I saw that. And then, that gif of the little girl from Blackish where she's like, that was me in real life. And I just looked at that. And then I just went and I threw it in the chat. The size of the game on the PS4 is like a third of that. I'm like, What did you put? Like, what is this? Is this like... Is every single image in 4K biggest? Like, what the fuck did you do?
Right. It's bigger than both of the console versions combined.
That's like 3 copies of the console version and some change.
Right.
Yep. And
Black Desert Online is 80 gigs.
Oh my
That's
God.
Stretching it for me. Yeah. Right. That's why I took that game off my machine.
Interesting point brought up in the chat by Mycanthrope. He says, ouch. Yeah. They say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to presume your gender. Ouch. That would be awful for folks in Australia where their limits are so restrictive. Oh, yeah. Well, anybody overseas is going to get screwed trying to download this game.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Or just not be able to download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was in Australia. I was in a hotel, not even like someone's crib or like on internet I paid for on my phone. I had 1,000 megabit limit in a nice hotel.
Wow.
Can you imagine what your bill would be if you tried to download that kind of file size?
Wow.
I mean, well, and I guess we'll leave on this note, or at least for me, is that game wasn't even that good to be downloading for 170 gigabytes. Hey,
I was waiting for that shade.
That game isn't even that good for 170 megabytes.
There is no game that's that good enough. I don't care if it's the platinum edition of the next Dragon Age game. I'll be like, nope, I'm getting that shit on console.
I mean, the fishing was really good. I like the fishing. The fishing in that game was great. Everything else, I was like, nah, B.
You could get bromance road trips.
If the Backstreet Boys soundtrack was playing anytime you got into a car, that game would be worth 170 gigabytes.
No, it would not. Because
you'll be driving, you're like, you are my fire. What?
Spare the viewers. Oh, this is what I put up with, y'all.
Yeah. Anyway, nobody wants that. Nobody wants it that way. 170 gigabytes.
No.
Goddamn Final Fantasy. Anyway, anywho, we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna go get some water. Go let you see some ads really quick. Let you see some of the folks that you should be checking out on Twitch and giving some love to. And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everybody. We are back from our break. Thank you so much for hanging out for a couple minutes while we go and get some refreshments and talk a whole bunch of crap about 170 gigabytes of nonsensical stuff that's in your thing there. So there's a couple of other stories that we wanted to talk about before we get up out of here for episode 187. I know that Tanya was at it's weird to say Tanya was at a conference.
Right.
Like Tanya, I'm not always at a conference.
Right. Tanya wasn't at a conference.
When Tanya isn't at a conference, we're like, oh snap, Tanya wasn't at a conference. That's great. Yay.
She was at home.
She's getting rest. Yay. Hooray. So you were at GenCon recently, right?
Yep.
Nice. So let the folks at home know, what GenCon was all about, what you were doing at GenCon and how you rocked everything that you touched and laid your hands upon.
Let's not get out of.
I gotta big you up anytime I do it because you got to do it.
So GenCon, for those that don't know, it's all about tabletop and it's all about card games, stuff like that. So if you're in a D&D, Pathfinder, any kind of tabletop system, that's what GenCon's about. It was the 50th year, so there was like 200,000 plus unique visitors over 4 days in Indianapolis.
Wow.
Right. You said 50th, 50, correct?
Yes. This is the 50th year that it ran, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean D&D is in the 40s. Actually, no, D&D and I are the same age. So, yeah, D&D is almost 45 years old. So, people have been playing other games prior to D&D. Right. So yeah, it was all about card playing, card games. So Catan had a tournament going on, but I was an industry insider. So it's weird because you apply to be an industry insider, but then your badge says guest of honor, but it's not like other places where you're guest of honor because all they gave you was a badge and good luck.
Thanks for showing up. Thanks.
Basically, it was like, here, we're going to guarantee you got a block for a room, and here's your badge. Good luck. That's all you get. But we had like kind of our own industry insider track, and it was cool. And I got to meet some other cool people. AJ Algernon Bolden, who's really, really awesome. He's over at We Be Hairbrained, actually.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. And, Catherine Cross, who's a friend of the show and amazing.
Yes.
So there were a lot of cool people there, folks that I really admire, like their work. Finally got to meet Lucien Solban, who's over at Ubisoft and worked on Watch Dogs 2. He was there just because, that's his jam. It wasn't for work. He was strictly on vacation, and it was good. But I had the same problem with diversity panels that I'm always on for those that I did, which is I can't find brown people. How do I diversify my table? I want to have a black character, but I don't want to do the thing. How do I not do the thing? And I'm going to ask you in a crowded room, and here's this real specific thing I want to do, or that probably happened at my table, and how do I get around it? And you're just like, don't be a racist asshole. Or, you know, remember that brown folks exist and we're playing these things, but the reason you don't see a lot of people of color at conferences is because one, conventions aren't cheap. You know, and Gen Con's relatively close for me, and it was not a cheap weekend. And this is, you know, splitting a room, getting a ride, you still got to eat every day, and all this other shit that you got to do at a convention. And that's with the little bit of spending I did. But, you know, it's always the same things, and I feel like tabletop is actually behind video games in that conversation.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And, you know, you get well, how do I welcome people of color? How do I welcome queer folks? And it's like, say you're welcome at my shop and actually do the thing.
Right.
Don't remember that queer people exist just in June because you want our money. Look.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, it's true. A lot of places will do, like, you know, queer themed events only in June. They'll put up that flag, that dusty ass pride flag they have in the window all June, and that they put away till the next year. Look, I have no chill. I have none. And I got to also do, like, panels about streaming your tabletop stuff, about technical things, and I got to kind of slide in on a couple panels specifically about queer issues in tabletop, which was fun because I got to panel with Jeremy Crawford, who's over at Wizards of the Coast about D&D. So it was good. I got to talk about stuff beside diversity, which was fun. Mm-hmm. Spent a little money, picked up the rest of the stuff for the Dragon Age RPG, picked up Burning Wheel system, and got to see some cool stuff. You know, got to see my buddies over at Green Ronin and Paizo and other folks, because tabletop was my first love in gaming. I was one of those people that played D&D Redbox First Edition. I deal with my mom thinking it was the devil. So
you playing them goddamn devil games.
Basically, like,
why does your mom and my grandma sound exactly the same?
Look, my grandmother was just like, "What you doing with them dice? You better not be shooting craps." And I'm like, "No, not craps. Not really."
Pay that. CeeLo, it's CeeLo, grandmama.
Right?
Meemaw, it's CeeLo.
Right?
456.
Head cracks.
Right.
So yeah, and actually, I got to panel with Harrison Pink, who worked on Mafia 3, is now over at Blizzard. Right. So, you know, Harrison is good people, and I really got a chance to hang out with him and chill with him, because he's in tabletop too, and he was on the Entry Insider track, and it was just good. Mike Anthrope is asking about WOTC announcement. Not that I saw Mike Anthrope. I am the worst convention goer when it comes to tabletop, because Mad Perot can attest to this. Gen Con, a lot of it is about playing games. Paneling is not a big part of the convention. But I'm choosy about who I table with. And being a person of color, being female, being queer, I'm not trying to go to another state and pay a lot of money to go sit at a table with people I don't know. I will buy your game and I'll come home and play with my friends. I'm not going to sit at a table for 2, 4, 6 hours with people I don't know and deal with all the things I just talked about on a panel about. Because I was at another tabletop con and somebody thought it was cute to joke with me about the drow. I was in Seattle and I was too far away to, like, lay hands on folks. So
I feel like you need a doppelganger that is just there. Like you need an extra person who looks exactly like you, who's your complete twin, just there to put hands on people who fuck up. Just to do that. Just like pop out the alleys, out the darkness, and just be like, bang! Yo, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that.
Shout out to Crystal Frazier, who thankfully, because she was sitting next to me at a panel, I did not jump over a table and come after some dude who has a really offensive and stupid fucking question at a panel I kind of slid in on about queer issues. Because I was like, you know how people ask a question, you can tell what they're really asking?
Right.
No matter how.
Yes, yeah.
And you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna.
Well, you know, so one of the things that's interesting about tabletop gaming is that tabletop gaming it's the ultimate local gaming, right? So while I would love for there to be lots of people of color that are out there doing tabletop games. Shout out to DJ Ben Hameen of the Fanbros Show, who was an unabashed D&D geek growing up in Houston. You know, and you know, that definitely made him an outsider within our groups. But the thing is, you're only going to play your tabletop games with people that you know and that you feel comfortable and familiar with. And it's difficult for, if you live in a homogenized area in Montana or even in, many parts of Indiana, it's going to be difficult to find a person of color that you think is cool enough to, or, not non-judgmental enough to go and ask them if they want to get down and play, whatever the tabletop game is that you and your circle of friends play. Now, I realize that line of thinking is bullshit as a person of color, but as a white person, I can definitely see that being the thought. Thought.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. So what I was going to say was, in fact, the day I moved up here to Northern Illinois, my friends and I went over to the local tabletop gaming store, and someone called me boy.
Damn.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
The hell?
I have only been called boy twice in my life, and it's been within the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Was it boy? Or was it boy?
Nah, it wasn't Flavor Flav. No.
Cuz that's not racist.
Yeah. No.
Did he have a clock on when he called you boy?
Yeah. No, he tried to stormtrooper me. We were at Mos Eisley. We were trying to figure out exactly what was going on at the game store, because it was like 11:30 at night on a Friday, and they were outside smoking cigarettes in front of the game store, and it was me and two of my friends, whom the three of us all worked at GameStop together. So we were like, clearly there's some awesome nerd shit going on over there, so we need to go and find out what it is. And he was like, move along. I was like, nah, man, I really want to know what's going on here. He's like, you heard me, boy. Get out of here.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'm surprised you ain't doing a bit right now.
Right. So I almost caught a charge, and I hadn't even slept in my new bed yet.
I don't know how I would react to being called boy. I know I can distinctly remember the first time I've been called nigger. Boy is a different version of it.
Yeah.
But it feels like as soon as the word boy would come out of your mouth, the theme music from Kill Bill would hit. It'd be like that.
Yeah. It is.
And I would just black the fuck out.
Yeah.
I would have to black the fuck out if that was the thing that hit.
It is definitely a trigger. It is more of a trigger. It is more of a trigger than nigger is.
It is, isn't it? It's so
definitely
weird.
is.
So
it definitely is.
Oh man, that's craziness.
Yeah.
That's no joke. Well,
yeah. So yeah, but it speaks to exactly what I was saying before.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing though, that we all know it's a bullshit excuse. Those of us on the show, those are listening. Hopefully, if you listen to this and you try to find some way to mental gymnastic Olympic level justify that shit, don't tell me, because I have told people on panels and I've told people in real life, I will have words for you and you will not like these words. It's bullshit, because now everything's electronic, everything is digital. If you really want to diversify your table, be it literal table at your store, online, there is no excuse. Yeah. So, what is it when you want to do stuff like that? Because I don't know who's familiar with Paizo. They do Pathfinder. There was a thing on their forums where somebody wanted to have a slavery class.
Wait, what?
You heard me.
Wait, what? What?
I think I just broke you. There was someone who wrote into the forums and wanted to have like a job class that was slaver, and I'm just like I like made that face. I'm sure I literally made the face. I'm trying not to look at myself on the stream because I'm weird. And you know, it was one of those things where it's like the people I know at Paizo were talking about this, and then I saw it, and I just like I did the RCA head tilt. And then, and then the like banjo music started playing.
Shouldn't right after that request, just somebody else just jump in and was like, "I'd like to play Django. I'd like to play Django."
Oh, Matt Pro has something to tell me. Just tell me when we're done with the stream.
I don't even know.
Yeah, yes, Marcus, a slave class, as in a job you could be in this setting was to be a slave owner. And I just sat there and I was like.
Yeah.
I read it.
Okay.
I know what I read. And like I felt the vein. I was just like, okay. Yeah. But see, these are things that nobody wants to think about because what it comes down to, and I'll get off my soapbox in a minute, is for them it's just a game. There is nothing for them to have to deal with. There's no repercussion. But if I'm a black person, a person of color, or, you know, let's say someone who's like from the islands or Latinx or something, and you want to have colonialism in the game, or you want to have these things that this is real history that you want to put in the game, but you clearly don't think there's going to be anyone but white dudes at your table if you're doing shit like this.
Right.
You are not thinking about the repercussion and the emotional damage you can do to someone, because if you play a game and you want to go, hey, my job is to be a slaver, or this is my background, I'm going to go to the other side of the table, around, and leave. There's no playing with you and this group of folks if you think this is acceptable.
I don't even know what to say to that. Like,
while we talk, I will find this. So apologies for any tapping you here, but I'm going to find this real quick.
Like, how do you just randomly just be like, I'm going to, hey, can I get the slaver card? Like,
so,
like how? Like where? How's that work?
So, Elite Dangerous has 3 factions. Space Game by Frontier Developments. I love it. I geek out about it all the time. They have three factions. They have the Federation, the Alliance, and the Imperials. Well, the Imperials have slaves. And when you are, when you're really low level, you don't have a lot of money, one way that you can make a lot of money very quickly is by choosing to smuggle slaves. And obviously, as a person of color, it comes with right. Like there is.
It looks like as a person of color, that shit is fucked up.
Right. There definitely is some reticence to do that, and you jump into forums and you talk on YouTube comments and that kind of stuff. I've been in some very tense conversations regarding the necessity to run as a slave, and there have been people who have justified imperial slavery within Elite Dangerous when the person who that person being me at that particular moment, but these are practiced and rehearsed answers. When someone says I won't smuggle slaves because slavery is wrong,
right,
and their answer is, well, these are slaves, but they've chosen to be slaves. They're almost like indentured servants because at a certain point their slavery, like at a certain point in the game, they will no longer be slaves. Not that you'll ever actually see that moment. There will always be new slaves to smuggle. You won't ever be smuggling freed slaves. So you don't get to see the end goal there, but it does happen in the lore. So this is okay.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff in there that just someone really wanted, like someone was waiting to play that card real hard and was like, now's my chance. now's my chance to do this thing that I've always wanted to talk about or do. And it was like, come on, man. Like, there's a lot of... Well,
I mean, look at Confederate. Somebody thought of that shit, so are we surprised?
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, there's somebody somewhere that still got the fantasy of black folks being slaves, so...
Yeah.
You right. That's all you can say to that is you right.
Yeah, right.
You're right. Well.
I mean, this is why I'm real choosy about who I play with.
But Gen Con was dope.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It was good, but, it's also 200,000 people over 4 days.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right.
That's
but
one PAX.
It's the granddaddy of them all, though. It really is, of cons, of, like, nerd cons.
Kind of.
It is, but that's... And, if you ever go... It takes over basically all of downtown Indianapolis.
Right. Well, I mean, downtown Indianapolis is like the size of my apartment, but yes, it does.
Oh no, dude! I put some miles in that weekend. So because the convention center is designed for 80,000 people.
Oh my god!
Oh, holy shit! And there's two. Wow,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Wow, that is crazy. Yeah, it is. Shout out to Charlie Hall, who was down there. And shout out to my cousin Mike Holmes, who was there, and shout out to my homeboy, my brother, Dan the Robot's boy, Jack Norris, and good friend to our guest from 2 weeks ago, Jason Belair, Jack Norris, who was also down there. So at Gen Con, you didn't get to see any of them. So
word. So besides Gen Con, there's another con that you and I will both be in attendance to, and it sounds like our folks over at Gamertag Radio, I just heard, are going to be there as well.
Yeah.
Want to give some folks at home some info about where they'll be seeing us next?
So PAX West is next week.
Yay!
So there's a few events. So if you're going to be at PAX West and you don't actually need a badge for this event. I Need Diverse Games and Blacks at Xbox are co-sponsoring an event called the Kickback Lounge. It's Saturday 1 to 4. I'll throw a link out in the show notes. It's just come chill, get a drink, get away from the con for a little bit, and hang with cool folks. It's not a panel. It's not a formal thing. Just come and hang out with us. Kahlief and I will be there. Some of our friends from Xbox will be there. I Need Diverse Games will have a table in the Diversity Lounge. We're sharing it with AnyKey.
Nice.
So come find us both in the same spot. Xbox Gaming for Everyone, shout out to Katie Joe, is going to be in the Diversity Lounge for a change. For the first time, I should say. This year at PAX West. And then Kahlief and I are on a panel together. 6:30 on Sunday. Let me make sure I'm not telling a lie, because I'm on like 80 million panels. As always. But Kahlief and I, along with Zoe Quinn, Brandon Stennis, Shanae Bryant, and let me not tell a lie, Caitlin Tremblay.
I like all of those people.
Yay, I'm glad you do. I'm going to try to stream it. If I can't, I'm going to try at least one of us will try to record it. But we're going to talk about hustle and flow and being the real side of making it, what making it means, and talk about failure, which people don't do.
Right.
Because a lot of people just see you're here, which is above my camera, so no one can actually see my hand. But they don't see how you started here. They don't see like all the rejections you got. They don't see like, the times you applied for being a Twitch partner and you got rejected or stuff like that. And I want to talk about that because I think it's something important to discuss, because people literally don't think about how to go from 0 to 100, and they only want to see you at a certain level. And then I'm going to talk about streaming. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'm actually talking to PAX Dev. So I'm going to be in Seattle all week. I'm going to be tired of Seattle by the time I go home. Because, look, I like Seattle. It's close to where Kahlief is, but there's a reason they say Seattle's so white.
I mean, if Seattle's so white, Portland must just
opaque.
is Antarctica. If that's the case, I am at the wall. Shit, I am the North. If that's the fucking case, I am Jon Snow.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm super excited to be on. This is my first panel that I ever have been on in that respect.
Ever?
At a conference, yeah, like at a big con like PAX, yeah. I've done speaking engagements and things like that. Shout out to AlterConf and EffectConf and things like that. And the folks over at Blacks in Gaming. I'm sorry. But I've never been on a panel at an actual con. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm thinking about all the rebuttals that I'm going to have if someone says some real random pop-off shit. And I'm just like,
I'm sorry, have you not seen me moderate a panel before?
I've seen you moderate a panel, but it's like, there's a small teensy bit part of me that's like, I really want someone to say some real random shit.
Oh, wow.
So I could just be like, da 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 da. And I was like, hit him with the dopeness, and then all the other cool people be like, yeah, that's cool. You said cool shit.
Yo, let me find out that Kahlief is having little Ralphie dreams from Christmas Story, where the teacher gives him A++++++++++.
I want to have my Pax Cornell West moment and be like, my brother, don't you understand that you have been caught up with this megalomaniac, and you don't understand that all these things are just in your head, brother, please listen to me. I don't understand why you have these things in your head. It's going to be one of those things. Shout out to Den the Robot, who says, incorrect. You are Kaka Beware on the best panel ever. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Somebody did want me to do.
Oh my God.
Somebody did ask me last minute to be a part of PAX Rumble again. And I said I couldn't because I just didn't have the time to do it. But I want to real bad. So next one. Next PAX Prime, I'll do another Kaka Beware.
My God.
Kaka Beware is my wrestling persona. If you do not know and have not seen that stuff, we'll send the link out in the chat somewhere. That stuff. I can be a Cornell wrestler. Oh my God. That could be it.
Cornell wrestler.
Wow.
Cornell wrestler.
Yes.
TM. I won't even grab you. I'll just wrap you up in my words.
If you need the wig, I was Don King for Halloween. I got the wig.
Oh man, I don't know if it'll fit over my parrots though, because I got to get more parrots if I do Kaka Beware. So that'll be real. Anyway,
this has just gone
left.
It's not even. I don't know what direction this has gone at this point.
But
we're off the map.
I'll just say I'm extremely excited to be paneling with you, and for my first panel to be with you is an honor and a pleasure. I'm super excited for that, and I get to chill with Brian Stennis, who we had on the show, and Zoe Quinn, who we had on the show, and some new folks as well, who we have not had on the show, but would love to be a part of that conversation, because I think it is a really cool topic to hit. I think a lot of people still even think that we here on Spawn on Me have quote unquote made it, and we have not made it. We still have a lot of doors and a lot of doors that are not open for us yet. So folks being in the chat and folks listening to the show and people shouting us out and giving us love helps a lot, but we're still not there yet. We're still trying to figure out ways that we can share what we do and get into some of those doors that are still locked. And people are like, boy, move along from them doors.
Nah, see, we can't have those moments because then we'll all be in trouble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to be Cornell Wrestler up in that piece. It's gonna be real. There are times for physical violence. There are times to just pull out, the King's English and those $10 words and make people look real confused. That'll probably be it if it does happen. I'll just have a real good side eye. Plus, I have my camera, so I will zoom in and then I will shame them. It'll be on camera.
You gonna bring a bell to shame them?
I will. I'm gonna bring a bell to shame them. Anybody who does that, I'm gonna be like, shame.
Oh my God.
Shame. That would be the best thing ever.
That is the best thing ever.
That might be the best thing. I need to go find a bell before I leave on a plane. Okay, everyone in Chicago know what's gonna happen. If someone says some really ratchet shit, we're about to get the shame bell out, and I'm gonna put a piece of tape on it that says shame on it.
And if we manage to live stream this, it's gonna be on somebody's channel.
Yep.
Because you're just gonna see me at the podium
Yep. I'm just gonna pull it out. I'm just gonna pull the bell out, and I'm gonna just start ringing it shame, and just look at them shame.
And I think that would just kill the panel. It'd be like, well, panel's over.
It will be done because everybody would know what it was. It would be so funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anywho.
All right.
We're about to get up out of here.
We have lost all sense of everything.
All sense of direction. It's all gone. It's all gone. But if you're going to be in that part of the world, please come out. If you have tickets, if you have passes to come out to PAX, we would love to see anybody and everyone from I Need Diverse Game fam and from Spawn on Me fam up there representing and giving us some love and giving the panel some love. And all the panels that Tanya will be doing during that week. I'm just hitting that one and then dipping out. But yeah, please come through. If you see us, if you see me, I won't speak for Tanya. You speak for me. You see me, come say hi. I will give you a hug and say what's up and all that good stuff. But before we get up out of here, again, we got to give the social media business. Brother from another mother. My brother from another mother, Cicero Bartholomew Brother Holmes. Can you please give all the social media business?
Before I give the social media business, I want to say that so this week you guys are going to be at PAX West. Safe travels to you guys. Make sure you guys go to the panels and check those out. The following week, make sure if you are in the A, make sure you go to DragonCon and check out our brother Shareef Jackson, who will be on some panels down at DragonCon, making it happen down there, the mother of Dragon Cons. So check that out and check out the social media business because it is as follows: Twitter, all our social media channels. It's at Spawn on Me. Our information is in the bios. You can check that there. Our website is esn.fm/spawn on me or spawnon.me. Find our this episode and all of our archives. Make sure you go to twitch.tv and follow and subscribe there. We'll also have the stuff up on YouTube, so check that stuff out there. If you want to listen to the show on the podcast, just use your favorite podcatcher. We are there, definitely. If it's a place where you can rate, please do so. Obviously, subscribe. And if it's a place where you can review, please do so. That really helps us a bunch. And if you have anything that you want to send us that's more than 140 characters, check us out on our email at spawnonmepodcast@gmail.com.
Word. If you're watching the stream, hang out because we're going to be hosting Brian Stennis actually after this. You'll be able to check out some of his stuff after we go offline. If you're listening to us again in podcast land, thank you again to everyone who followed tonight, everyone who shared and hung out with us on stream, everyone who is listening at home in your podcatcher of choice. We thank you this week and every week very, very much for hanging out with us and giving us some of your time. And until then, until next week, we are out.
Peace. You Mickey Figgy, you were supposed to say peace.
And you didn't give my social either.
Oh no, Cicero. I didn't. No, I didn't give you a social.
Oh yeah, do it now.
That's right. I'm gonna do it now. It's Cypher Tier. CYPH. I can't spell EROFTYR. Or I need diverse games. I need DIVGMS.
DMX, yes, to everyone out there. Also, I forgot to say before we jumped up out of here, next week, we will have the wonderful folks from Absolver will be on the show. Don't forget to come back here because we'll have an exclusive interview with them that we will be playing during our live broadcast next week. So if you want to check that out, you should absolutely come and hang out at twitch.tv/spawnonme for more of this goodness. And until then, we will say peace.
You suck at this. Happy birthday, you loser. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.